What is up guys, I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome yourselves back to another video on the channel where today we are looking at the story of the Nova 6 crawlers from Kino der Toten. Not only that, but the ones from Moon and also the jumping jacks we see in Die Rise. As always, if you enjoy the video, this is a very requested one from you guys. Make sure you leave a like rating. Also make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest zombies videos on the channel. And without further ado, when you're ready, here we go. So if you haven't already checked out the other story of videos, definitely go and do that. We have an awesome playlist so far. If there's any other characters, zombies, bosses that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments section below. But the crawlers are a very mysterious beast, is what I'm going to refer to them as in the zombies storyline. The first time we ever saw them was back in Kino der Toten all those years ago, and then we saw them later on reappear in Moon, a slightly different version to the ones we saw in Kino, and then we also saw them again, a slightly altered version of them in Die Rise. But what is the backstory behind them? Well, originally all around Kino der Toten you can see we have these canisters. Inside of these barrels there is something. Now what exactly this is, we're not sure because we've never had the chance to open it and really see what's inside, but what we can see is the face. And it was believed that these are the Nova 6 crawlers, an experiment that Group 935 was doing in Kino. We know Kino der Toten was a massive operation for Group 935 in creating the zombie horde. Maxis, along with the other members, was here working on a cure for the infection. As we know, one of the more famous stories is when Sophia was working on Subject 26, trying to inject that zombie with the cure. But things went wrong, and that zombie, Subject 26, not only attacked its handler, but it also attacked and bit Sophia. And so because of this, because Maxis knew she was going to turn, he poisoned her, he killed Sophia, and put her brain inside of a machine. So even though we know that creating a zombie horde in Kino der Toten was a massive part of what was going on here, nothing is ever mentioned about the creation of the crawlers. However, we do believe that they were created here. On the walls in Kino, you see written, there is beware of the 6. These beasts that Group 935 were creating were so terrifying and powerful that even the employees at Group 935 were afraid, and so warned people to stay away, to beware of the Nova 6. What exactly is their origin? Where originally did these monsters come from? Well, actually, these beasts may be some sort of the Keepers, part of the Vril. Many millenniums, eons of years ago, in the beginning, there was only the Keepers, Dr. Monty, and the Shadow Man. Part of this was the ether, but soon the ether began to turn black. It started to turn dark, and the Keepers, being intrigued by this, began to experiment with it. They began to experiment with the dark ether, and soon enough the dark ether began to corrupt and corrode the Keepers' souls, turning them evil. Not only did the dark ether corrupt the souls of the Keepers, but it also corrupted the soul of the Shadow Man and turned him evil as well. The corrupted Keepers then began to create the Ether Pyramid, a device capable of absolute power. Once the corrupted Keepers built this device, a schism was then formed between them and the Keepers untainted by the dark ether. And so, as we know, a war breaks out between the corrupted and uncorrupted Keepers. They fight between one another, but in the end, good always wins, and facing defeat, the corrupted Keepers decide to hide the pyramid in one of their newly discovered dimensions on the Moon. And after the war is over and the corrupted Keepers are banished back to the dark ether beneath creation, the remaining Keepers then take on the mantle of the Guardians, protecting the summoning key and all universes that exist. And now, trapped in the dark ether, the corrupted Keepers contort and evolve over eons, ultimately becoming the Apothicons. Resembling nothing of their former Keeper selves, these Apothicons now have 6 tentacles, 3 heads, but now being trapped in the dark ether, knowing that planet Earth has a gateway to Agartha, the Apothicons send meteors of element 115 to Earth, believing that one day humanity will use it to wage war amongst themselves, opening a rift that will allow the Apothicons to escape the dark ether once more. So we know that the MPD was a device created by the corrupted Keepers. We see on the front of the ether pyramid there is a Vril interface, and as we know, if you do the Moon Easter egg, in order to start interacting with it, you need to put the Vril Sophia inside of the Vril interface on the front of the MPD. And then at the end of the Moon Easter egg, Richtofen, using the Vril generator and powering the device, switches bodies with Samantha, who is trapped inside of the MPD. So in order to unlock the MPD pyramid, and in order to use it and interact with it, you need to use the key. The keys are the Vril generator and the Vril Sphere, which must mean that the MPD is a Vril device. It is a Vril machine. If we use the Vril Sphere and the golden rod as keys to open the MPD, if those are the keys made to unlock it, then that must mean that the MPD is a Vril machine. And who do we know created the MPD? It is the Keepers, specifically the corrupted Keepers, meaning that the Vril are the Keepers. A theory that we've had for a very long time now, but it's never really been confirmed. No one was ever really sure, but this confirms that the Vril are also the Keepers, specifically in this case, the corrupted Keepers. Now, if you actually take a look, I say look, some people say look, that's just my accent, but if you take a look at the crawlers in Kina der Toten, you may notice that they look extremely familiar to something else in zombies, and that is the Keepers. I was actually editing a thumbnail just the other day, cutting out an image of the Shadow Man in his apothecon form, and I noticed that the strange thing is, the Shadow Man, when he is in his apothecon form, he has no eyes. He doesn't have eyes. And that same thing applies to most, if not all, of the apothecons. And in fact, not only the apothecons, but also the corrupted and corrupted Keepers. They don't have eyes, which is the same as the crawlers. They have no eyes. If you look at the teeth of the apothecons, or more specifically the Keepers, once again you will notice that their teeth are very similar to the crawlers. They have lots of different long, sharp teeth, and it's the same thing with the fingers. They have long fingers, long fingernails. The only difference is the Keepers have 3 fingers, whereas the crawlers have 5, or 4 fingers and a thumb. But as you see, the crawlers and the Keepers have many of the same features. They look very, very similar. The crawlers have like these black veins all coming from their head. They almost have more of a human form to them, a human-like body, but crawling on their hands and feet. Wearing only ripped shorts, they look pretty hench. But as I'm sure you've noticed, their faces very much resemble the face of the Keepers. Which gets you thinking, are the crawlers related to the Vril? Are they some even more deformed version of the corrupted Keeper? Are they an ascendant of the Keepers? The Keepers were the first ones to master the ability to travel between dimensions. They are able to teleport. And guess what is the only other creature that has the ability to teleport without the aid of a teleporter? It is the crawlers. They can teleport short distances between locations. It seems like Group 935 captured these creatures. Where exactly from, we're not sure. Maybe these creatures, these Vril, were left trapped on Earth from the great battle that happened between the Keepers and the Apothecons all those thousands of years ago. Maybe these creatures have been trapped on Earth all this time and were found by Group 935 and experimented on, and this is the result. Maybe these were humans that Group 935 have found, and using Element 115 and maybe other things have managed to create a creature that resembles something of the Keepers. Maybe these were Keepers captured by Group 935 a long time ago, and when Group 9 went to do research on them and experiment on them, they turned them into the corrupted Keepers, these evil monstrosities that we see here. We don't know, but somehow Group 935 have managed to capture them, experiment on them, and this is the result. This was the creation of Group 935. That is a possibility. As I said, maybe it was already a Keeper when 935 captured it, or a descendant, some kind of version of it. As we know, when the corrupted Keepers were banished back to the Dark Ether, they began to morph, they began to change, and so they resembled nothing of their original Keeper forms. They look nothing like the Keepers originally did. And that could be what happened to this crawler. Just like the rest of the corrupted Keepers, it morphed, it changed, and now it really resembles nothing of its original self. Is this an apothecon? Again, it's a mystery. Treyarch haven't mentioned anything about the creation of these beasts in the Canorium, and so for that reason, you could even wonder if Group 935 even had anything to do with this. We see other advanced versions of the crawler in Moon and Die Rise. The moon version of the crawler, unlike the Kino der Toten version, has the ability to teleport short distances, as I said earlier. The Kino version of the crawler can't do that. And then in Die Rise, we see a different version of them where this time they jump around the environment. They seem to teleport a lot quicker than the other one. So they're all different. If these were a creation of Group 935, they created 3 different versions, getting more advanced as time goes on. There really is a lot of mystery around these. We also see them in Dead Ops Arcade and 5, but the first time we ever saw the crawler was on Kino. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Are the crawlers part of the Vril, an ascendant of the corrupted keepers, banished and trapped on Earth? Are they an experiment of Group 935? What truly happened to them? I guess the full story might remain a mystery for quite some time. However, that's all we have. I've tried my very best to get all this information for you guys, and in the end I think we've got a pretty good story. So as always, if you have enjoyed the video, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest zombies videos on the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and of course we'll see you all in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.